Chapter 8. Nue's Heart. Belleric was in the hollow root. He couldn't remember how he got there, but he knew what happened. The last memory in his mind was his mother's house and the flames. The bright light from the fire was still reflecting everywhere in the woods, creating a light shine from where he could see it. It was almost nightfall, but he didn't want to be there anymore. He thought about going to Grandma's cabin, but he was afraid of being caught there. He wasn't sure if people were looking for him, actually, or that they knew what he had done. Belleric didn't know what he did, to be honest, or how it happened. Grandma Viridia would know. Could he wait for her to return? Belleric wasn't sure. He decided to start moving, otherwise it was going to be too dark, and he would be alone in the cold outside. He grabbed the basket and everything he had left and started moving, without knowing for sure where to go. He walked towards the road and approached his mother's house. It was still on fire, and the flame was so high that it could probably be seen from the cities. The neighbors were trying to put out the fire before it consumed the other constructions around. Belleric watched for a brief moment, enchanted by the beauty of that fire. He closed his eyes and made a silent prayer for Nue. Her bones were there after all. That was Nue's tomb. His beautiful Nue and her adorable melody that he would never hear again. His eyes filled with tears, and he kept moving before he cried in front of all that people. Belleric was lucky enough to find someone going to the cities willing to give him a ride. The man wasn't going to Farah's Vale, but to Westrun. The walking distance wasn't bad, and Belleric believed he would be back in Ivara's house by sleep time. He would have to explain to her why he was delayed, but that was a problem for tomorrow. The man offering him a ride was going back home. He lived near to the docks and was doing business with the natives. The sea fishes were too expensive for Belleric to buy, but the higher villages in the Elder Tree appreciated a lot. Lorcalen was his name, and he was happy to have company for the road. Usually my oldest kid comes with me to help, but he is feeling sick this week, and I had to do it alone. That's why I was there for so long. But what about you? Where is your father? My father is in Westrun too. Belleric didn't want to tell him who he was and where he was going, especially after the fire. He lives there. Calvaris is his name. Calvaris? From the Harbor Roses Alley? Are you his son? I didn't know he had a child, Lorcalen exclaimed. Belleric felt apprehensive. He just needed an excuse to be traveling that far so late and barefoot. He had no idea that the man was well known, so he just stood in silence. Sorry, kid, must be hard to be the son of such a man. I suppose you are not proud of it. Belleric just nodded his head. They continued in silence for a while. Then Belleric asked, "What do you think about my father?" He didn't know him after all, had just a name from an old paper he couldn't read well, and his mother's final words to confirm it. Belleric was slightly curious. "I don't want to offend you, but I think he is despicable. One of the worst men I have ever met." "You don't offend me." He ripped off my mother's hand. "That's evil," Belleric answered. That's what he knew about Calvaris anyway. All of it. "I see. Sorry about it," Lorcalen said, offering him a sweet apple to cheer him up. "Thanks, but it's fine. My mother was ever worse than him," Belleric said, eating the apple. "You seem to be so polite. A sweet soul. I can't believe you had such bad people to take care of you. That's terrible. I have Grandma. She is the only one that really took care of me." Lorcalen breathed a sigh of relief, and the tension of that conversation dissipated. He continued talking about his family and his children. For a second, Belleric pictured himself having a good father like Lorcalen. He was speaking so proudly about his children, and Belleric wanted to feel how it was, one day. When they were in town and Belleric asked to leave the cart, but Lorcalen didn't stop and said, "Don't worry, I know where your father works. I am taking you there." Belleric agreed, but deep down he was hoping that Calvaris' house wasn't far from the entrance of the town. He didn't want to walk longer and to arrive so late at Eller's Tavern. The town was passing, and they were getting close to the sea. Belleric couldn't remember when it was the last time he saw the sea. It was beautiful, and he felt the impetus of swimming. But that was absurd. When they were on the docks, almost on the beach, Lorcalen stopped. "I am afraid I can't go any far. The alleys here are too tight for my cart, but it's close enough, I hope," Lorcalen said. "Here is great. Thank you, Lorcalen." "I will never forget your kindness," Beleric answered, leaving the cart. "So polite." "Are you sure Calvaris is really your father?" Lorcalan asked, laughing. "Hopefully he isn't," Beleric answered, causing his laughter to turn into a guffaw. Lorcalan left and Beleric stood in the same place, waiting for him not to be visible so he could move back to the town entrance. He had to wrap himself in Nu's little blanket to protect from the cold. He wanted to cry again, but held his breath and started moving. Suddenly, a big man, looking like an ugly bear, cornered him and asked, "Are you Calvaris' son?" "No, I don't even know the man." And he tried to dodge that brute, unsuccessfully. "I've heard you confirming to that man on the cart. If you are not, why did you say you are? I would know if he had a son. So who are you and what are you doing in here, kid?" the man asked. "Can you please let me go? I just needed a ride and now I am leaving," Beleric answered. "What do you have there?" And the man tried to pull Beleric's bag, who quickly dodged and, letting the basket fall, held onto the handle of his hatchet in case he needed to use it. He felt the burning rage coming back and his eyes were shining again. "Leave him alone, Tyrion. I know him. He is Calvaris's kid. You don't want to mess with him, do you?" a girl shouted. She was coming from the beach, had short, curly brown hair and blue eyes. She was skinny and short, and was wearing truly little clothes, making Beleric blush. "I was just playing around. No need to annoy your boss." The ugly bear let him go, and the girl held his arm, saying, "Come, let's go back." Taking Beleric by the hand and pulling towards the alley, he grabbed his basket and followed her. When they were far enough from the ugly bear, she said, "I am Bree. What is your name?" "I am Beleric." "Why did you say Calvaris is your father?" she asked. "Because it is true. At least according to my mother," he answered, distracted. "Really interesting. Who is your mother?" "Thoranya was her name. She is dead and I am here," Beleric said. He was confused in that environment. There were women everywhere, in all sizes, shapes, and colors. Some were wearing small dresses, like Bree, some were wearing even less clothes, and some were naked. And there were lots of drunk men in the bars in between the houses. People like Bree attended their clients. Bree pulled him inside a tall building. It was one of the biggest in the alley, and she avoided the saloon, crossing the kitchen to the stairs that go to the rooms. She pulled him inside her own room and said, "You will be safe here for now, so what are you doing here exactly?" "My mother died, and I was on my way to Yarune's cross. I live there, and this good man offered me a ride, and I took it. What are you doing here?" "My father sold me to Calvaris." "So if you are his kid, how did I never hear about you before?" she asked. "I don't know if he knows I exist, but it doesn't matter because I don't care about him. I have a home in Yarune's cross. I need to go back tonight." "I understand, so you don't mean anything to him. That doesn't help." "Fine. There is an exit in the back that leads to the beach, and you can avoid the men in the alley. I will take you there and you leave as fast as you can," Bree said, disappointed. "Thanks for helping me. You are a good person," Beleric said, getting some money from his bag and giving it to her. "I am not doing any services for you." She looked suspicious to him with a raised eyebrow. "You helped me. I am just thanking you." And spontaneously he kissed her hand, as he is used to do with Grandma. She smiled and put the money in a little bag hidden in her thigh, then grabbed him by the hand and pulled, saying, "Come on, you have to go." The door then opened with a stroke and a tall man came inside the room yelling, "You filthy pig! How dare you bring in any clients without paying my fee in the saloon?" And he slapped Bree in the face. "Calvaris, wait! He isn't a client!" Bree yelled. So that was it. That man was his father. Beleric understood why Lorcalan was so shocked. "Then what is this?" he yelled, pulling her bag from her thighs. Calvaris then throwed her against the bed, and taking off his belt, he shouted, "I'll teach you not to steal from me!" The image of his mother's stump came back to his mind. That's what he is capable of doing. Then, the picture of that horrible woman wearing Nue's bracelet took over his sight, and he thought, how filthy people can get their hands in such precious. Belleric's sight turned red again, as if his eyes were covered with blood. But this time, he was under control. Bree was screaming and begging for Calvaris to stop and leave her alone. So, Belleric extended his left hand towards his back and simply let his rage flow. The flames were darker than common fire and danced according to his fingers' movement. Calvaris screamed and stepped back. In a matter of seconds, he was surrounded by the flames and cornered. She stood up and ran to Belleric, hiding behind him. "We have to go now," Bree said. Belleric lowered his hand and, picking up his things, pulled Bree toward the door. There were people coming from the salon to see what was happening, and he heard Calvaris shouting behind his back. "You damn brat! I'm going to find you, and when I do, I will make you and that bitch to regret this." Belleric stopped walking, against the complaints of Bree. He was done of being afraid. Belleric then went back to the doorframe and said calmly, "You can't find us if you are dead," and he set the room on fire. He took Bree by the hand and walked to the entrance they used, with all those people staring at him scared. Once they were out, he kept pulling Bree by the hand until the entrance of the alley. Bree was following him without resistance, but she was whispering, "Who are you, and what are you doing?" When they passed the entrance, the ugly bear was there with some friends. He yelled something to Belleric, but he couldn't understand through the wall of fire he created behind them, closing the entrance of the alley. Belleric went to the beach and threw himself on the sand, trying to breathe and calm down. "Belleric, we have to go. The guards will be here soon, and we don't want to be caught." Bree said, whispering again, "Yes, I have a job and a place to stay in Yaroon's Cross. Come with me." Belleric held her hand, and they moved as fast as they could to the road. It was cold, and Belleric gave her his coat and tightened up Nu's blanket in his neck as a cape. It was safer for her to be covered, and his inner fire was still burning enough to keep him warm. They walked silently for the whole path until the tavern. He tried the upper door, but it was closed, it was too late, and Quillar and the market people were probably sleeping. He then left his small pack with the books and the basket in the entrance, and kept only his bag with him. They got inside the tavern but were expelled due to their young age, with no chance to explain the situation. "What do we do now, Belleric?" Bree asked. "We look for a place to stay. I have little money, but maybe for one night will be enough," Belleric said. "I have still a little bit of money here," and she pulled some coins from a tiny bag in her chest. They counted the whole amount and started looking for a place to spend the night. Against their expectations, all rooms were too expensive, and after a while walking, they finally gave up. "Let's try again back in the tavern. Maybe if I find Elir or his wife, they will let us stay," Belleric said. They walked back to the tavern, but it was already closed. Suddenly, they heard a shout. "Hey, what are you doing?" It was two guards from the city. "Hi, I am Belleric, and that is my sister Nue. We work for Mizivara at the market, but we went to the beach tonight, and it took too long to go back. Now we are stuck outside?" And Belleric gave them his most sympathetic smile. Belleric didn't know why he called Bree like his dear Nue, but it was done. "To the beach?" one guard said. "Yes, we love to go there at night," Bree answered, showing her feet covered with sand. "Okay, come with us. You can wait at the outpost until the market is open. Then we can bring you here ourselves and verify with Mizivara." The guard continued. "Perfect! Mizivara will be happy to know that you took good care of us," Bree shouted. She knew they were testing Belleric's story and wanted to convince the guard. "Sounds good to me too," Belleric said, holding Bree's hand and walking towards the guards. They tried to look calm, but when the guards started walking, Bree and Belleric looked at each other apprehensively. They were following them not that close, but the guards were keeping an eye on the couple behind, making it hard to run away. "Do you think Miss Ivara will speak for me?" Bree whispered to him. "I don't know, but she knows I went back home to pick up Nue, so she can take us both in or kick us both out." Belleric answered. He wasn't sure at all. "Who is Nue?" Bree asked. "She was my best friend," Beleric said. He wanted to cry one more time, and Bree noticed. Where is she? Bree asked. What are you two whispering? One of the guards shouted. Nothing. We are just hungry, Beleric answered. He was indeed hungry, and he doubted Bree had eaten too much that day. He regretted it for a minute, leaving his books in the basket back in the dorm door, but at least Quillar would know he had been there. That is what Beleric thought. They arrived at the outpost, and there was an emergency alert. An unknown male blood warden and a female worker from the Harbor Roses Alley were wanted in Westrun for murder through sorcery. Once the guard from Westrun saw them, Beleric and Bree tried to run, but it was too easy for the guards to catch them. Both were carried in between curses of Bree and tears from Beleric. He was a murderer indeed. He ran from killing his mother just to be caught by killing his father hours later. Somehow, his tears calmed the chaotic situation, and Bree set herself free to hug him. Can you explain to me what is happening? Asked the guard from Westrun that was in the outpost. Bree stepped forward in front of Beleric and said, I was sold to a man named Calvarus. You must know him, bare minimum by the name, she said, causing a disgusted face from the guard while he nodded the head. Our father sold me to him. My brother tried to save me, but Calvarus attacked us and he was just defending me. Your brother? Not a client? The guard asked, petulant. Our mother is native, but not our father, Beleric answered. I look like our mother, and she looks like our father. I got a job with Miss Vara and ran away from our home. I told her I was picking up Nue today to bring her here too, but Yvara doesn't know where Nue was before. I was expecting that she would give shelter to my sister as well. She gave it to me, Beleric said, already recovered from the tears. We didn't plan any harm. It was an accident. And he was protecting me, Bree answered, opening the coat and showing the guards the recent marks in her thighs from the whipping that Calvarus gave her earlier. I see. Still, there are no accidents when a blood warden acts. I am not a blood warden. I was never tested in my tribe. We were too poor to be seen, so I passed unnoticed. I didn't even know I could do that until today, Beleric said, looking at his hands. Bree was staring at him, and she knew he was telling the truth. What is your tribe, kid? The first guard asked. We are Kuraash, sir, Beleric answered, holding Bree's hand. She was looking at him in silence. He didn't know what she was thinking, or what he was thinking himself. They were improvising, and they seemed to be a really good pair doing it. I understand. Let's feed you, and I will see what I can do. Honestly, Calvarus was a piece of shit, good for nothing, that won't be missed. But when there are tribes involved, we always must act with precaution, the guard from Westrun said, while walking outside. They received some bread and ham and juice, and ate it all. The guards were feeling sorry for them, and that was obvious in their faces, so they let them eat more food as they wished. It was clear both were in hardship for a while. When the sunrise came, a group of Kuraash blood wardens arrived. Who is the boy? A man said. Othran, I don't see you in a while, the first guard said. And I don't even know who you are, Othran answered, making the guards angry. Bree felt uncomfortable and grabbed Beleric's arm. Are you the one they are claiming that caused the fire? Yes, sir, I was saving my sister, Beleric answered, pointing to Bree. Your sister? And what about the fire in the lower village of Kuraash? You were saving her from what in there? Othran asked, making Beleric blush. I don't know about this one, sir, Beleric answered, keeping eye contact with him. Ha! I imagined, supposedly wrong, that you were the one causing the mysterious fires all around last night. Do you have any other family besides your sister? Othran had a sarcastic, one-sided smile that annoyed Beleric again and made him start to sweat once more. Yes, it's just me and Nue. Can we go now? Bree noticed he was warming and started to blow his face to try to calm him down. Go where? Bloodwardens don't stay loose like that, not in our tribe. I don't know how you have skipped the test, but I will find out. Especially having such strong ignition power like yours. Come, grab your things and your sister if you want to keep her, and we can go, Othran said, turning his back and walking as if they were following. Beleric looked at Bree, and she looked scared. We are coming. And holding Bree's hand, he followed Othran to the street. There were curious people around there, due to the amount of Bloodwardens on the street, and Beleric could see Quillar looking for him. And behind him was Ivara. Can I speak to someone first? Asked Beleric. No, Othran answered and kept walking. Beleric then ignored him and ran to Quillar. It is true what they tell you have done, Beleric? Quillar asked. I have no idea about what people are talking, but I can't come back. I appreciate your kindness, Ivara, and I wish I could be with you and everyone else. But that man won't let me go easy, Beleric said, pointing to Othran, who was staring at them amused and holding Bree by the arm to make sure she wasn't moving towards him and he wasn't going anywhere. I understand, Beleric. Keep in mind that if you need, you know where to find us, Ivara said. Good luck, my friend, Quillar said, giving him a quick hug. Beleric then moved back towards Othran and Bree and said, I thought you were on a hurry. Othran laughed and let Bree go. Beleric held her hand and started moving. The Bloodwarden from the Kura-Ash were experts in poisoning due to the frog totem, so Beleric was concerned about him touching Bree's arm. For now, she seemed to be okay. There was more than a dozen of Owens there. 3 were obviously Bloodwardens, since their skin was colorful like the wild poison frogs from the forest. The others, Beleric couldn't tell. But he knew he had to obey. They got into the Othran's carriage, and the Vowens surrounded them with their horses, forming an escort. Bree was so tired that she lay on his shoulder and fell asleep. While she slept, Othran began to talk with him more privately. You don't need to be afraid. We appreciate the sorcery and the Bloodwarden and the Kura-Ash tribe. You can tell me the truth too if you wish, Othran said in a lower voice. Truth about what? Beleric asked. Who are you? What she really means to you and what happened in the village? Othran said patiently. I am no one. Nue. She is my best friend, and I won't leave her behind. Her father sold her to my father, both pigs, Beleric answered. You don't have to leave her behind. Just make sure people know she is your sister. The families of Bloodwardens have a lot of privileges, so accessing these resources is very restricted. What about the fire in the village? Othran asked. I killed my mother, Beleric answered, immediately regretting his words. It was an accident. I didn't know what I could do until I did it, he completed. Interesting. Did you love her? Othran asked. That was a bizarre question to ask, but Beleric found himself surprised. He couldn't answer. After thinking for a while, he reached a conclusion and said, Yes, I did. I loved her as much as it was possible. She wasn't very lovable. Beleric felt sleepy since the swaying of the carriage on the stone streets of the city was rocking him, and Othran seemed to notice. Good. Remember to say she is your sister and keep her in your cabin. Be discreet, and you will be fine, Othran said, looking at the tiny window at the carriage door silently, allowing Beleric to sleep in peace at once. The roads carved in the exposed roots and the base of the elder tree allow the carriage to go most of the way up, but slowly. When they had to continue without the carriage, Othran woke them up. Beleric had never seen how it was in the higher parts of the tree, and that was interesting for him. There were a few elevators and several tracks in between the branches, also carved in the wood. There were lots of people carrying a variety of products up and down, and many horses and carriages were distributed in an exceptionally large branch. It was still morning, and Othran dismissed the Vowens, keeping only the 3 Bloodwardens with him, Beleric and Bree. Beleric, what is happening to us now? Bree asked. I am becoming a warrior, and you will be protected by the tribe as a familiar of a Bloodwarden. What that means? She asked. I don't know very well, but you will be safe. Beleric really didn't know. They were moving to the extremity of some higher branches, where they could see houses spread across the smaller branches and leaves. Oh, there were some curious people looking at them, and they reached a cabin. It was similar to Grandma Viridia's house, but had more than one floor, accommodated in a higher branch. They went in, still following Othran, and the others stayed behind outside in the track. "This is going to be your new house. I'm going to pick you up, Belleric, when the sun is almost down, to take you to the Elder Lights. Rest as much as you can and eat some more. You may need to do a demonstration there, and being well fed will help." "I am sure there is still food in here," Othran said. "Still?" Bree repeated, confused. "The blood warden that used to live here died just a couple of days ago. His wife and daughter were taken to the women's circle very recently, so I believe there is fresh food. At the sunset, Belleric. Don't forget it," Othran said, walking towards the door and leaving them alone. "What is a women's circle?" Bree asked. "Where the widows and their small children go. There are a lot of widows. That's why I never wish to be one of them." "I will look for food," Belleric answered sadly. "Okay, I will look around, see what we got." Bree was amazed by the cabin. It was simple, but comfortable. On the first floor, there was a kitchen, with space for them to eat and some comfortable pillows and blankets close to the fireplace. There was a hallway that led to round wooden stairs apparently carved on the tree, and 2 doors. The first took her to the girl's room. It was small, and there were some toys still left there, and she mentally took note to store in the chests at the entrance. There was a bathroom at the second door, with everything they needed, including a wooden tank for baths. She went upstairs, and the second floor was composed of a single big room, with the largest and most comfortable bed that Bree ever slept in. She rolled between the fur pillows and blankets for a while, then a thought crossed her mind. Bree stood up and went downstairs after Belleric. He was eating bread and cheese, looking sad and tired, but still pretty. "Can I join you?" Bree asked. "Of course." They ate together, and when they finished, Bree grabbed his hand and pulled him to the second floor. "Come, let's rest before you have to go," Bree said, pulling him. Belleric laid in the comfortable blankets and felt that they were embracing him. He relaxed and closed his eyes and felt Bree's hands in his belly. "What are you doing?" asked Belleric. "Helping you to feel better," she answered. He then felt her lips touching his chest, and her hands started moving, caressing his neck and shoulders, then back to his belly. Belleric's body stiffened with nervousness, but at the same time he was enjoying it. "Don't worry, Belleric. I figured you haven't become a man yet and you're really young. I shouldn't know about this myself, but no one gave me that option. I am only helping you feel better, making you feel loved." Bree continued, touching him gently and kissing his hands and cheeks until Belleric relaxed and hugged her, and pressing him against her chest, Bree started stroking his hair. Then she sang to him until Belleric fell asleep. "New?" he whispered, remembering his beautiful singing bird that suffered on the hands of the cruel people that seemed to surround him. "Like Bree." "You can call me like that. I like the name Nue, it's beautiful. And it was given to me by you. Better than Breelith, which was given to me by my father. And one day, you will tell me who is she." Nue said. "I will, Nue, keep singing. I love your voice," he whispered, burying his face in her chest. And Nue did it. Her voice was indeed pretty, and she was singing a sailor's love song she learned on the docks. "From my love I only have memories, and longing covers me with tears. But I sing for consolation, heart full of hope, wind blows in my sails, and my love can hear." Belleric didn't dream, and he only woke up briefly when Nue left the bed, but he was so tired that he immediately fell asleep again. Nue woke him up when she heard a knock on the door. It was time to go to Elderlights, and Othran was there, waiting for him. Belleric stood up and moved towards the door. When he was almost leaving, Nue called him back. "Wait a second!" She ran to him, and holding his chin with both her hands, she gave him a sweet, long kiss. "It's for good luck," Nue said with a smile, letting him go. Belleric smiled back to her, blushing. Her lips were soft and sweet like the grapes she was eating before, and the kiss made Belleric feel good, as if he was cared for. Belleric then went outside, and Othran was there, dressing formally and with a squad of blood wardens surrounding the cabin. All the neighbors were out, looking at them and trying to find out what was happening. "Are you ready to fulfill your destiny, Belleric?" Othran said. "Yes, I am, sir,"